Good morning, everyone. My name is Veritas, and welcome back to Destiny. Now, today is Friday, Zer Day. That means that Zer, an exotic merchant, has found his way into the tower like an unwanted pest and is selling exotic weapons and armor for your weapon and armors for your collecting purposes. This week, he happens to be down by the Vanguard and is hiding in plain sight. So let's see what kind of fun stuff he's got this week. I have saved myself from being spoiled, and I've yet to look at the screen because I'm still opening a thing. Ooh, interesting stuff. This is some interesting stuff. He doesn't sell this stuff very often, except for the Red Death thing. He's been selling Red Death in Monte Carlo like this forever. I think people already have it. I really hope you have it, because it's been, 5 weeks now that he's been selling the same weapon bundles over and over and over again. So hopefully you have the weapon bundles already. Otherwise, let's talk about the other stuff he's got going on here. Exotic gear this week, we have a Legacy Engram for a special weapon. This will turn into a Year 1 special weapon, so if you're missing like a Patience in Time from the olden days, it'll turn into a Max Light 170 special exotic weapon. So only if you're looking for something specific, like if you're an Xbox player and you're looking for a Year 1 Fourth Horseman, that'll come from this. If you're still looking at to get your kiosk complete, go ahead and pick that up. Otherwise, stay away from that. Moving into the exotics this week, though, we have the Titan exotic, the Imperium Bellicos, kind of a useless helmet, kind of a useless roll as well, 89% stat roll on this one. Aiming weapons while airborne holds you in place, and when your super is full, orbs recharge your melee. Interesting helmet, but overall pretty useless for the Titan. There are much better alternatives. If you're missing it, go ahead and pick it up for your collection purposes. Anti-grav thrusters is interesting, but more so useless. There are a lot better alternatives for the Titan for every subclass. Moving into the Hunter exotic this week, we have the Crest of Alpha Lupi. Supers generate an extra orb and revive and be revived faster, so it's one of those revive and revive faster chest pieces. Kind of useless overall. Another kind of, middle of the road, good for every subclass, but not great at anything kind of deals. Like I said with the helmet previously, there are better exotics for the Hunter. Much better alternatives for you to use this week. Stat roll on this is 92%, the best roll he has available for you this week. You have increased intellect and discipline, as well as scout rifle ammo and sidearm ammo, and solar burn defense and solar armor. Now this is the piece of armor that you want, the solar burn defense. This is the actual good burn defense, so if you're looking to use the Crest of Alpha Lupi, 92% stat roll is the one he has available here. Very good. It's not a very good roll, but it's a decent roll, and it has the good burn on it. But good catch-all chest piece for the Hunter. Not great at anything specifically, but good for all subclasses if you're missing a chest piece and just want something neat to wear. Moving into the Warlock exotic this week, we have the Stag. Intellect discipline roll on this. Let's go ahead and look at that perk. Doe or die. I hate that. I hate it so much. Once per life, your supercharges faster when your teammates are dead, and chance to spawn with an overshield. So kind of useless. I used to run around with this just because it was cool and it was new, but since it's lost its new factor, you kind of realize it's kind of a useless helmet. It looks neat, but there are much better alternatives. Like with almost every other exotic in the game, there are much better alternatives to it than itself. Increase intellect and discipline on this one, inverse shadow, second thoughts, and better already. So go ahead and run that in the way that suits your playstyle. Otherwise, go ahead and you can pretty much stay away from everything this week. We have an 89%, a 92%, a 91%. So kind of meh, but a little bit better than the last couple weeks have been. Moving into the exotic weapon this week, we have Telesto Fusion Rifle Void Damage. Now I actually recommend picking this up if you don't have one. I don't often recommend weapons just because, but it's actually got some pretty neat stuff going on. Unplanned reprieve, fusion projectiles attach and detonate with a delayed void blast. You can set it and forget it and watch the void explosion. Pretty neat for certain modifiers actually, things like airborne, where you get increased damage while in the air. You can shoot this and then jump before the projectiles detonate and get that bonus damage without having to worry about, being in the air while shooting. Pretty cool there. Void burns also pretty nice for this. It has a couple perks that actually work off of doing things with void damage. Harbinger's Spark is one of those things. Multi-kills with this weapon spawn orbs of light for your allies. So pretty nice if you're running through a strike, void burn, and you've got this thing going, especially void burn and specialist. There aren't many, good void special weapons, so this one is one of those that I always see people using. and not for any kind of, bad thing. It's a decent fusion rifle. Crucible, it's kind of interesting. PvE is probably where we're going to see more use of this thing. If you're going to be running this weapon, I recommend staying with Smart Drift Control. Gives you nice, all-around decent perk control. Battle Runner is always pretty fun. Kills with this weapon grant a brief boost to the sprint's top speed. It's always a nice perk to mess around with. Lightweight, enhanced battery, and flared magwell. That comes down to what you want. If you want the extra magazine, I like the increased, increased reload speed or the increased agility overall. And then, of course, Harbinger's Spark. It also has 2 ornaments with it if you're looking to buy those from the kiosk. It has, the Queen's Command, which is pretty nice. Or the Lingering Vestige, one of the only animated skins in the game. Pretty nice looking, actually. It's pretty... Both these skins are pretty dope, so if you're looking to get a Telesto, you're not going to be disappointed with the skins you get with that or the ornament options there. Moving into the weapon bundles this week, we have the Monte Carlo and Super Spy for the 3rd or 4th time in a row. Someone's going to not buy this for the 3 weeks and then be like, all I want is Monte Carlo and Super Spy, and it's like, well, it's been there for a month and a half, so he's selling this again in case you really, really, really wanted it and you were really, really, really on the fence about it. So pick it up if you've been on the fence about it, otherwise, ignore it. Someone somewhere is keeping Xur selling the same 2 things, though. Speaking of the second thing, Red Death and White Witch, back again. The worst ornament for Red Death, in my opinion, the better one is Steel Witch, so maybe wait until next week when he's selling the other variant that he's been doing this back and forth thing for a month now. We'll look at these 2 exotic weapons in the kiosk in a second here. Down in Curios, though, we have the Void Drive and the Stealth Drive. Haven't seen the Stealth Drive in a while. It's pretty weird to see the Stealth Drive here, but the Void Drive and the Stealth Drive can be used to upgrade rare quality sparrows purchased from the Vanguard and Crucible Quartermasters into legendary quality sparrows with a purple or red trail respectively. So if you're collecting sparrows in your kiosk, those count for different versions of it. Otherwise, purple and red trailed sparrows for your fashion destiny nonsense. Heavy emphasis though, we have 3 for 1 and 10 for 3. Always get 10 for 3. It makes much more economic sense. These can be used to trade in factions for faction reputation. Those packages drop up to 400. Otherwise, they can be used to replenish your heavy ammo in combat, specifically raids and PvE activities. You can't use these in the Crucible, don't try. 3 of Coins is a stackable effect consumable. It's always very confusing. Let me try to explain. These will work off of them not working. Isn't that fun? So you use one of these, go through a strike and kill the boss. If you do get an exotic to drop, you're very lucky. If you don't, the next one you use has an increased chance to drop one. So use a 3 of Coins, go through a strike, kill the boss. It will burn the effect. If you don't get one, the next one you use has an increased effect chance. The same thing it does for the Crucible matches. Use one, go through a Crucible match. Once it's complete, it will burn the effect of the 3 of Coins. The next 3 of Coins you use will have an increased chance to drop it. So eventually you will get an exotic engram to drop from either an Ultra or a Crucible match based on just how many you do before you go in a drop. Don't use 5 at once, doesn't work that way. Moving into Glass Needles, though, this is a very endgame material, I like to describe them as. Strange Coins, Motes of Light, and Exotic Shards are used to purchase these. These can be used to reroll exotic armor, so if you really want something like the Imperium Bellicos, and you're like, 89% seems very, very low for a stat roll, it is. But you can buy some Glass Needles and the Imperium Bellicos and twist the fate. This will change up where and how much stat it has and what perks it has. Now be mindful, like I said earlier, I believe the Imperium Bellicos will always have strength since it has something to do with melee in here. Super is full, recharge your melee ability. I believe it will always have strength, so as you re-roll this, be mindful it'll always have one perk, or one stat rather, and some exotics can and can't have certain perks. Specifically like the Void Fang Vestments for the Warlock will always have Discipline as they affect your grenade ability. Things like that. Just be mindful, they will, if the exotic affects a specific ability, it will always have that stat, usually. So be mindful of that. If you're looking for specific stats and perks, go ahead and check Bungie's armor on their website, and that will tell you what things can and can't have when you're re-rolling, and not wasting your currencies on them. Moving down to Material Exchange, though, Motes of Light for Strange Coins, worst conversion rate in the game, never do this. But the Exotic Shard here, 7 Strange Coins for Exotic Shard. Let's go ahead and pick this up. If you're looking to get more than 1 Exotic Shard and you're like, 7 Strange Coins is expensive, well, let's just have it like let's have a merry jaunt over to the Exotic Weapon Blueprints kiosk, and we will go ahead and talk about how you can get more for cheaper than 7 Strange Coins. But first, let's take a look at the Monte Carlo. If you were curious about that weapon bundle, this is what it looks like with Super Spy. Interesting weapon here. Monte Carlo method, dealing damage with this weapon reduces your melee cooldown and grants a chance to fully charge your melee ability with each kill, so pretty nice there. It's an interesting auto rifle. There's better alternatives, but if you're looking for it, here it is. The ornament's also pretty nice too. Here's the other one, Royal Flush, if you were curious about that. And as always, Red Death, since it's the same 2 weapons every single week, Red Death has the Red Death perk. Each kill heals you and speeds up reload. Pretty nice there, nice high caliber rounds and unflinching. And the ornament you're going to get with that bundle is White Witch. In my opinion, it's the worst one of the 2. Here's Steel Witch, so go ahead and get it. White Witch is the one you'll be getting with that though. So pick it up if you need it, otherwise stay away. I like the Red Death. I recommend picking it up, just picking it up with a different, ornament on it. So if you're looking to duplicate exotic shards, like I said earlier, go ahead and head over here and pick up a Truth rocket launcher. Any exotic rocket launcher or machine gun will work. I haven't tested this with the swords or the sleepers, so I don't recommend doing it with those until further testing has been done. But go ahead and head into your inventory and equip that weapon, and we will do some interesting stuff. So you might have a class item that increases the upgrade rate for rocket launchers. Go ahead and put that on if you do. If you do not have a class item with increased upgrade rate on, that's fine. You can head to the gunsmith and buy some heavy telemetries. They're pretty cheap, 250 glimmer I believe, but these will increase the upgrade rate for heavy weapons for 30 minutes. Does the exact same thing as the class item, and the class item and the heavy telemetries do not stack. But either of those does stack with Radiant Light, the buff from completing the Nightfall Strike. So this will increase experience gains, reputation gains by 25%. I always recommend doing this first every week. But this will stack with either your class item or your heavy telemetry. So with those 2 things active, I'm going to go ahead and use 5 motes of light. This time I'm actually going to count. There's 5 motes of light. With this upgrade rate and the Radiant Light buff buffing that experience gain, this is now full of experience. 5 motes of light, much cheaper than 7 strange coins. Now we're going to dismantle the Truth rocket launcher, and the 1 exotic shard we bought from Zur turns into 2 exotic shards, a couple motes back for our trouble. Weapon parts and glimmer there. So we get back what we spent, essentially. Much cheaper alternative than using strange coins. So that is my recommendation. If you're looking for exotic shards and you don't want to spend strange coins, that's the best method of doing it. So this is where Zur is, that's what he's got. I recommend pretty much picking up whatever you need. The Hunter and Warlock exotic this week are at least over 90% stat roll. The Telesto is a pretty decent special weapon if you're looking for something different. But other than that, that's pretty much it for me. Pick up the Telesto if you don't have one. It's kind of fun to mess around with. Otherwise, the weapon bundles have been the same as they've always been, essentially, already. And that's going to be pretty much it for me. So I will see you guys on Tuesday for the weekly reset video. Otherwise, it's up to your discretion. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more stuff from me, solo, and co-op, links in the description. And yeah, I'll see you guys on Tuesday for weekly reset, probably. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, I very much appreciated. And as always, until next time.